Live, ladies.
Oh, are we
Oh, we're
live?
going live? Okay.
Hi, YouTube. Welcome to the live stream Eclipse by Kepler College. And we are in studio with myself, Lori Waters, and Mary Goddard and Misty Lane. And we will be going live and Lori Barnes, excuse me. And we'll be going live to our on the scene astrologers, Donna Young and Jeannie Picasso, with special guests. And Cindy McKean will be logging in shortly. And
How exciting.
Hello.
there we go.
We have Nadia Shah here putting on glow sticks. So when it gets really super dark, we're not lost in the dark.
And about how long is it until totality where you guys are at, Jeannie and Donna?
About a half hour. About a half hour.
About a half hour.
I think maybe 15 minutes,
think?
but we're not going to be able to see anything because it's so cloudy, as you can see.
Cloudy.
I'm here with the goddess Nadia. That's how the cookie crumbles. Do you know, when I was growing up, I loved the Cookie Monster. Do you know that about me? This eclipse is very revealing.
You are the Cookie Monster.
No?
I don't think the Cookie Monster and you have ever been seen together.
Therefore, we must be one.
It's true. As above, so below.
Oops. What did I just do?
Well, and maybe the
We're
weather will
also here
change
with Michael
after.
Barwick. I don't know if I can turn that.
People do we have on with us? Well, there's 6 in the Zoom room. I don't know how many on YouTube.
Hello, world.
Have I turned it around to you?
We have a lot of angry people here. That's what we have. Angry about
How's the wine?
Oh, yes.
And we are the only table that understand why you're angry. Right?
Excellent.
Yeah, I can't really hear you, but I can sort
He
of.
said excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
It's fun to see your view, even if it is slightly cloudy. Now, Misty
Good to see
had
you.
to go over on her side. Misty, you want to tell us a little about your experience?
Yes, so I am in Missouri right now in about 97% coverage, and we had the peak of the eclipse happen around 156-ish, and now the sun is re-emerging, so it'll slowly get lighter on my end.
Nice. And Mary and I are both in California, so we only got 40%. I went out with a welding mask and got a quick little glimpse. Mary, did you take a look at all, or you've been staying inside?
I didn't. I've been outside, but I didn't look directly at the baleful rays. But I did notice a slight dimming of the light. It is amazing how bright the sun is that it takes a lot of coverage to make it noticeable.
I'm going to take you into the field for a gentleman that I met in line while I was waiting for food for a half an hour. And he is from Montreal and here in Ontario to look at the eclipse. And he was lamenting that in Montreal it is now clear and he should have stayed there. I know. So I'm going to go and talk to him. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, and we'll find out from Lori Barnes. Has the darkness in Italy changed at all during the eclipse?
And the Italy report is that it is still night outside. Nothing has changed.
So, of course, this eclipse is happening at 19 degrees of Aries. It's conjunct Chiron, which a lot of people have been talking about. And totality has been different. Like we had totality about 11:20 here Pacific in California. And the Niagara Falls crew will be having it here in about a half hour. And a lot of people that I have been talking to have been wondering, oh my goodness, how long does this effect last? And Mary, I know you did a little bit of research, but what the ancients said about the effects of the eclipse, you want to let us know?
Sure. Yeah. Ben Dykes talks about it in his book, The Ptolemaic Inheritance. He works off of translations from Ptolemy. And according to the ancients, the eclipse, it depends on where it is in the sky when it occurs. If it's in the first third of the sky, rising up off the ascendant, then the effects will be felt in the first 4 months of the year following the eclipse. If it's in the middle of the sky or culminating, the effects will be felt 4 to 8 months after the eclipse start to be felt. And then if it's in going towards the descendant or the western horizon, then the effects will be start to felt you'll feel them in the third part of the year. But the total duration of the effects related to the eclipse are correlated with the length of the eclipse. So this eclipse is 4 minutes and 20 seconds, and that equates to a symbolic timing of 4.2 years. So the duration of the eclipse, it'll start around August to December when we'll feel it the most, according to Ptolemy. And then about halfway through the next 4 years is when it'll peak out.
That's interesting, especially if you
Yeah.
think about like phase
So
families.
we have, she's
I
in
think-
California, she's in California, she's in Missouri, she's in Italy. That's Donna sitting at the table. And
We got Jeannie giving the down low. But I was going to say, based on what Mary said, what's interesting, if you think about moon phase families, right, where this is, eclipse is always a new moon. So we're starting a new phase
I hear
family.
her, I
The
still
first
can't hear her.
quarter of this new moon will be January 6th of 2025, when that quarter moon is at 17 degrees of Aries. So it's kind of interesting. That'll be like that opening quarter of the phase family, right? After those effects that Mary's talking about, that the ancients
correlates with it, right? So so starting in August and December is when we'll really start to feel the effects of these eclipses. Now, a lot of the ancients, including William Lilly, who is drawing on Ptolemy and a lot of Arabic and Persian astrologers, there was a lot of doom forecasted, right? And depending on the sign of the eclipse gives you the flavor of the doom. Aries is generally associated with earthquakes, as I read in Ben Dykes' book, which is pretty interesting because certainly the East Coast
maybe
just had a remarkable.
Of those, huh? We had a couple of those. New Jersey, you're from New Jersey, right? You're not.
I am, and the epicenter was about 6 or 7 miles from where I was born, which is pretty remarkable. You don't get earthquakes in New Jersey. So that would definitely got my attention.
Even though most of us Californians were like 4.8. It's okay.
Well, the geology is totally different there. So I think that the effects were more noticeable than maybe they are here where we get them all the time. But the structure of the earth transmits the waves a little bit differently.
Even if we get a little bit. We just had a break in the clouds and the crowd went wild. There was just like this little glimmer of light. We couldn't really see anything. But it was really. You could say that again. So
Can you see the sun at all there, Donna?
No, we can't see the sun at all. No, Donna said it perfect.
Oh, they went mute there too.
So I think it's good for people to take note of where this eclipse falls in their natal astrological chart and the axis that the nodes are on. Everyone's like, what does this eclipse mean for me? And so that's what I advise them to do, is check out their natal chart and see what house it's falling in. That'll give more context for what might be a fresh new blast off start in their life with this new, very powerful new moon.
Right. And where does that fall for Misty? Where does it fall for you?
Oh, this is falling in my 4th house, right opposite my natal Saturn, or not natal Saturn, natal Mars in Libra. So yeah, I get to stay home today and I got to view the eclipse from home, so that was nice.
Awesome. How about you, Mary? Where is it hitting you?
It's in my 5th house. So I'm hoping a rocket launch of new creative impulses will take place in my life.
Same thing for me. I'm a 5th house Aries. How about you, Lori Barnes?
Well, how 3 for 3.
Another Aries 5th house?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why we're all on here. We're doing something creative.
Right.
Donna and Jeannie,
Creatively
where's this eclipse hitting you
voting.
guys?
Miss Lori. Miss
Yeah.
Lori, it's Jeannie. I finally got my sound
cenotes
working,
and
maybe not.
Yucatan
And
have the
oh my
bones
God,
of
I'm
many
having
a virgin
technical
at the bottom
difficulties,
that
but
she
I
had
am
eaten.
here with
And they
two
did this in our
gentlemen
town.
from Toronto that are here. They're non-astrologers, but excited about
Party is
the eclipse.
And we are at the wrong spot, I think.
Yeah, go ahead, tell us where we should be.
Oh yeah. So I regret not being in Montreal. My office is in Montreal. I came here for this and there's nothing.
But there's in Montreal, it's clear skies.
Yes, it is. Like, yeah.
Thank you. That's from the trenches here. Oh, you can't.
Well,
my phone keeps turning off
like
and you can't hear me.
hiding inside. You're protected from the baleful rays. There's some cultures that encourage people to stay inside and stay out of the rays, but there's a big discussion about that online. Like, is it because without eclipse glasses, the eclipse is damaging to one's eyes, so that's why it got a malevolent, bad vibe to it? It's a thing to ponder.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, people look up because of they can tell it's darkening, wondering what's going
Something
on
is
in their
happening.
eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can
So
really
I
feel it. It feels like it's getting darker.
It
to
is
me.
getting darker. Look how gorgeous. Yeah, it is getting darker. Yesterday, Donna and I were reading about the Saros cycle. So this is 8 North. Mary, what do you know about 8 North?
Lori is her resident Saros cycle.
I would be happy to talk about Well, let's talk a little bit about what the Saros cycle is for people that may not know what that is. That is every 18 years plus 9 to 11 days. Eclipse will return to an area. It starts basically at the North or South Pole as a partial eclipse, meaning about 18 degrees ahead of one of the nodes. And then throughout the years, it takes about 650 years before it comes where it's exact the nodes. And then it twirls back out towards the opposite pole. And then this whole cycle, which is about 1200 years, is a Saros cycle. And this one that we're having today is an 8 North. And Bernadette Brady will hold up the book. Predictive astrology is what most of us astrologers use for looking at these Saros cycles. And she says this phase, this particular Saros cycle, is about inventiveness and flashes of genius. The individual will have intuitive leaps, insights, good ideas, vision, and dreams, which I think is really interesting because this is, of course, coming, April 20th, we have a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which those keywords would apply to that. And when we have that conjunction will be when Venus, the ruler of Taurus, reaches the eclipse degree of 19 Aries. So I think it's all tied in, folks.
An amazing synchronicity. The threads of the story are woven together.
I was born on an eclipse. I was born on an eclipse. March 7th, 51.
That's interesting. Where is this falling in your chart, Jeannie? We were going over that.
4th house.
Another 4th house.
Right now, 4th house. 4th house and 19 degrees is very significant in my 4th house because it is, thank you, Donna, because 19 degrees is my odd point of Jupiter and node, 9 degrees of Neptune on the in Libra, and 18.5 of Pluto in Leo. And that's my odd, those are my odd points. And And 19 degrees is very important, but everything's my whole chart is being activated, so that's why I can't use any electronics today. I can't seem to do anything. You can see it's starting to get dark. Starting to get dark. A systems analyst that can't use electronics.
Well, it is
At
Mercury
Totality,
retrograde
you're
too,
pretty
so we'll keep that in mind.
You're a
It's
minute
dark.
away from totality.
Yeah.
Oh, just a minute.
And I think that is interesting to note, and people will see that they feel the eclipse more personally if they have any planets or points angles at 19 degrees. I have a 19-degree Capricorn moon, so this is exactly squaring that. Good times.
Yeah.
And Jupiter's at 19 degrees too, so 19 is really in the hot seat.
Yeah.
And my ascendant is 15 degrees Sag.
Getting dark now.
Yeah.
It does look a lot darker
Yeah.
from here.
Yeah. Check this out.
The crowd is
Can you
going
hear?
wild.
Yeah. You think we were at a rock concert?
Yeah.
Well, sun's the biggest
I'm gonna
rock
open up my
star there is.
microphone so you can hear everybody.
Whoa, that got dark so fast. Wow.
Mhm.
And the lights came on. I see in the
Yeah.
distance.
Oh, wow.
Nadia Shah. This is Nadia Shah.
This is
everyone.
so amazing.
And
What alternate reality am I in?
I'm going to show you the horizon. The horizon is really quite interesting too, because you can see all of the sun.
oh wow. That is interesting. So that's where the light is still happening. If you can kind of see where you're inside the path.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. So you can see the plane. I don't know whether you can. My camera can see the plane going, but.
And apparently NASA is firing rockets in the air towards this eclipse for some sort of scientific purposes.
Are they?
I don't know.
Or
Yeah,
chasing it?
yeah.
Like, I think the
I was like,
pilots
can they
are
blow up
chasing it?
Chiron while they're at it? Because Chiron is conjunct the sun and moon.
They're probably
exactly.
They're probably using this to launch cruise missiles against their enemy or something.
The sun and moon.
The eclipse.
I do think it's interesting. We were looking at how much this point is going to be pinged in the future. We just mentioned Venus is coming up with the day of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction on April 20th. But when we were preparing on January 21st, the nodes first passed 19 degrees. And I was looking through the news feed, and apparently that's the day that NASA announced that they had reconnected with a helicopter on Mars called Ingenuity, which I thought was really interesting literal symbolism, since it's a Mars-ruled eclipse. It's in Aries, and we have Jupiter and Uranus, that imminent conjunction tied up in it, which is innovation and sudden breakthroughs. So reconnecting with the technology, the helicopter on Mars named Ingenuity, seems like a very literal manifestation of the symbolism.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
And then, of course,
Wild again.
We won't have Mars reach
It looks
that
very
point
dark there, Donna.
until
You're in the
May.
dark.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. How's everybody?
We are in the dark, but
dark?
the clouds opened up just as to allow us to see the corona. And there it is again.
Did?
Yes, it's just right up there.
We can't see it. Can
Oh,
you
you
show
can't
it?
see
You
it.
can't see it.
There we go. Now,
That's Donna. Check Donna's out. There it is again.
We see a light behind clouds.
They're really
Yes,
pretty clouds.
that's just the sun. That's the sun coming out from the other side.
Ah.
Yeah, it's starting to get bright again.
But
Yeah.
interesting.
But were you able to see the corona for a minute?
Yes, yes. Not for a minute, like for 5 seconds.
Seconds.
5 seconds to see the corona.
Very cool. That's probably all you get for totality too, is just a very quick.
Yep. There it is again.
Everyone's so excited. I don't know if you can hear the crowd, but
We're just so
sounds like an
excited.
orgy.
It is.
Eclipse fever.
200 hungry people.
Very cool.
Yeah, 200 hungry people still yelling.
So we're coming out of it
There it
now.
is
The
again.
light is returning.
Can you see it a little bit?
Yeah, it's cool.
See it through the sky.
I think that we saw
It's
it
too close.
at the
We don't need
top. There's like a little sliver. Did you see that?
Yep. There it is.
Jeannie, your camera's off.
Oh, again?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going off.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
So,
Can you see it now?
oh yeah, we can see it just a bit.
A tad bit.
Just a little glimpse.
See whether I
Enough
can.
to get everyone all
I have
excited.
no idea why
I'm happy
my
that they
camera
came.
keeps going off.
And make it worth their
Mhm.
experience. It did get really dark. That's pretty cool.
It did. It's nice to experience
live?
it being in a place
We're
where
live.
it's already
Well, the
dark
darkness has
outside.
come and gone.
Yeah.
The darkness has come and gone, and we didn't have to bang any pots and pans to get it to go. So I think it's an important point. It's a celebration here, but it's a bunch of angry people, as I say. They haven't been fed properly.
No.
So we're enjoying being here and experiencing this. It's as the sun breaks through the clouds, people scream behind me. It's like a rock concert, like in, star is appearing on
Helios.
stage. It's so magical.
We love Helios.
Yes. Good.
You can imagine, like back in the day.
What were
that
you
was-
saying earlier, Michael? You were talking about people being afraid to go out in the eclipse.
Well, one of my colleagues, one of our colleagues, I invited her to come along to this event, and she said, "Oh, I don't know. I don't like the idea of such and such a transit happening to my chart, and I also don't like the fact that going out under an eclipse was supposed to be a bad thing to do. Like, it was not supposed to be a healthy thing to do to go out underneath an eclipse. Eclipses were bad omens. This perfect system somehow, at these points, this is where the lights disappear or strange things happen to them. So the ancients, it was anything uncanny, anything odd like that was seen as a negative. And I think for us modern folk, it's a challenge for us to take a look at those meanings and see perhaps how they need to evolve and change with the cultural conditions that we see in the 21st century. That's because what's happening here is, yeah, there's the Aries anger underneath the surface and irritation, but there is also a celebration of the event and of being together and sharing something, sharing an experience that will be remembered for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, I think that's great. Sharing it with friends.
Sharing it with friends.
This reminds me, you were asking this question before the eclipse started. It lands in my 11th house. So totally appropriate that I'm out here with my astrology tribe and all of these people sharing this event together. Sorry, I'm having a hard time getting this picture here.
No, that's
We'll
okay.
collect.
Yeah, well, we have to hang out, right? That's what we have to do.
Yeah.
It's good. it's we're having a great time, and I think that's the new model for how to enjoy eclipses. Yeah, everybody's in. Everybody wants into the act. That's the way it goes. But yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to share the eclipse together.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
Fun.
for sure.
All right.
And the eclipse is going to happen in one's chart, wherever it, no matter if you're inside or not, it's still going to affect you. That's what it's coming for you. It's coming for you.
So I have a question for everyone. When I was watching the news earlier, I saw that a ton of people are getting married at eclipse events today and getting married under the eclipse. So as astrologers, with us knowing that the eclipse is happening in Aries, with that sense of individuality and then the ominous history of eclipses, what are your thoughts on eclipse weddings?
That's a great question. Yeah, and how many electional astrologers would choose to get married or have someone get married on an eclipse? I would venture to guess not many, but that some cultures do think that one of the reasons why you shouldn't look at the sun and moon during an eclipse is because they're conjoining, they're having a secret tryst, and you don't want to bust in on their private affair, and that's why you want to respect them and give them. So it is a sort of a sacred marriage happening in the sky, so perhaps that symbolism figures.
Yeah, and maybe well, and then you think it's the one time the moon, usually the new moon is considered the darkest time because of course the moon is hidden by the sun. And this is the one situation where the moon gets the upper hand and like blocks out the sun. So like, she's got a little empowered.
The woman's in charge.
She's getting a little extra energy. But I always hear most people say, and I kind of adhere to, nothing like not really setting anything in stone during an eclipse, which a marriage kind of is, because you just never know how it's going to turn out. It's kind of that chaotic energy that
Sam Reynolds
coming in, but may not be more than with a North Node eclipse, you might be getting more than you bargained for in some way.
Yeah. Sam Reynolds cautions against doing any kind of a magical intention setting at eclipses because he says it's like sticking a fork in an electrical socket. Just there's so much power there that it's a kind of a wild card energy.
Yeah.
But, we should do a survey of everyone who's gotten married on the eclipse. We'll follow them up, longitudinal survey, and see how their relationship is.
But many blessings to whoever's getting married on the eclipse. Maybe it'll be a super exciting marriage because, this I mean,
Spicy.
if you're going to do one, I suppose an Aries one is the one to do with that starter energy, right?
Yeah.
Very spicy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see we got I got the chat up finally, and I see we got a few people in the chat. Hi, everybody that's joined us. And I see we got some New York City and Michigan and Washington State, somebody else in their 11th house. And we could, looks like we lost Donna and Jeannie, very quickly, maybe go through rising signs since we keep talking about everybody, where this falls in people's charts. If we want to talk a little bit about, obviously if you're an Aries rising, this is in your 1st house. And if you're a Taurus rising, it's in your 12th house. Gemini's in 11th, and you can see where I'm going with this. Cancer's in 10th, Leo in 9th, Virgo in 8th, Libra in 7th, and Scorpio in 6th, Sagittarius 5th, Capricorn 4th, Aquarius 3rd, and Pisces in the 2nd. So those are the areas that it is hitting based on your rising sign. And I see Donna. Any more?
I'm here. I'm just waiting. Nadia is just about done with her own live, and maybe she'll sit down and have a word.
Down. What?
I want to jump. I want to scream. I want to breathe. I want to do everything, Aries.
I have the
It's
headphones.
Aries.
Let's go to war.
Feeling Aries.
I'm all excited. Say it again.
Don't say that
Say
too
it.
loud.
I want to jump. I want to breathe. I want to go to war. I want to do nothing. I want to go to the Olympics. Anything Aries, give it to me right now.
She hasn't been affected by this event at all.
And I see we got
That was
Cindy.
so amazing. That was so amazing. Oh, mind-blowingly amazing.
I mean, we didn't get to see the whole thing, you know, because of crowds, obviously, but just having it go so dark like that was a very cool experience all on its own.
Fantastic.
Sure.
So guys out here
We
in
have
center line,
Let me turn
It was
that to you.
It gets
majestic thing.
darker and darker so gradually, and then totality comes, and totality is a totally different experience than partiality. A totally different experience because night falls and it is really odd, the lighting in the world, for sure. Very odd.
Yep. It sure is. This is Rose. This is Rose who does the events for, I can't see how good my camera is turned on to her, but she does the events for Niagara Astrology Group.
Yes. I'm here with a great group of people. We're having a great time. It was a great experience. Unbelievable, actually.
Yeah.
My first time seeing a eclipse. It was a great experience.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
Couple scheduled to marry their exchange. Last few hours.
I've got my
I
turn.
promise to cherish you like this.
Turn around.
Treasuring each moment as if it were a fleeting star. The galaxies of our dreams, hand in hand, heart to heart, until the end of time. For in my world, the sun, my moon, and all my stars.
There goes.
Oh,
That's right.
Some eclipse poetry. Eclipse
it was
poetry.
eclipse poetry. Yeah. Sun's coming out now, of course, that it's all over.
That's par for the course.
Oh, there's just a
It's
little
still
bit of
happening.
sliver. I don't have my glasses on, so I don't want to look, but I'll put them on because
Yep.
they're very flattering. I'm sure you guys know that.
Yeah.
Oh
Good
yeah,
eclipse.
Oh, there it is. I can actually see it now.
we can see it with the glasses now. We couldn't before.
Yeah, you can do.
Very cool. And I see somebody in our chat, Angel. Hi, Angel. Says that the NASA studies are
Can you see it, Donna?
measurements of the air, corona
Yeah.
pairs,
Yeah.
You can see it, John? No?
Oh yeah, I bet they get a better view of the corona like everybody else, right? So they're taking measurements
That's what they're up
during the
to.
eclipse.
Yeah.
Thanks, Angel.
Yes. I've got all these friends sending me all these amazing pictures and text messages, and I'm quite jealous, but I'm still very happy to have been where I was with the people that I was and experiencing it live, even if we couldn't see everything. Yeah.
And we are going to be having Cindy coming in from Buffalo here in about 5 minutes, and she has a little
Excellent.
bit clearer view. So we're going to hope it holds for Cindy when she comes on. Cindy McKean, another Kepler faculty member, coming in to join us here in a bit. And
Are you done?
oh, yep, there's Nadia. Hi, Nadia.
Here's Kepler College.
Nadia's doing a
Hi, Nadia's friend.
Nadia's doing a double live stream. So she's doing her own and she's on ours. And
Meta on
It's-
meta on meta.
it's kind of funny because
study this.
she put this makeup filter on, and every time I look into her camera, it's like, oh, I look so beautiful. And I look at this camera, and it's like, oh, I lost my eyelashes.
People are like shocked to know what they look like with makeup on. That's shocking to me. People put on these filters, they go, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, that's you with makeup.
Very fun.
Very fun.
Oh, my. Not Tammy Faye Baker enough.
No, that's a little heavy.
And maybe we'll do a little Kepler thing. And we could talk. Oh, you guys.
Everybody's kind of
down.
returning.
Oh, I just cut off the. I didn't know how noisy that background was, so I just plugged in my microphone again.
Thank you for sharing this with me, everybody. I adore you all. Bernadette
Learned all
Evans
the
says, hi
astrologers
Donna, hi
take
Nadia,
on
hi
Chiron,
Jean.
the Chiron conjunction.
Oh,
Has
that's a good
anybody been
one,
talking
yeah.
about that?
That is a good question. Okay, we're going to
There's a
talk about
very
that.
good
I'm going to turn the
question.
camera to the group. The good question is, the good question is, what do you think? Oh, I can't see behind the camera. What do you think of the conjunction with Chiron?
What do you think of the conjunction with Chiron?
What do I think of the conjunction with Chiron?
Yeah, how do you think
To
that?
the eclipse, to the minute.
Well, Chiron brings themes around healing and wounding and rescuing. These are sort of the Chironic themes, and also knowledge and wisdom is part of that as well in terms of the mythology. Oh, there you go. So I think those themes are present in terms of how conscious people are going to be, their ability to use this conjunction for their individual healing. I'm not so sure. Being an eclipse, it might be difficult to access it, and it may take the form of things that wounds that have previously, may bring those to the surface, highlighting them in some way, I think is reasonable from Chiron.
Yeah.
It's Aries, baby, and I think that's it's a big thing, and that's why it's a big thing, and that's why there's been all this hoopla about it, because it's Aries, it's an exalted sun that got eclipsed today.
Yeah, that's great. I hope you guys could hear that okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
The stream.
How about Nadia? What did she have to think about Chiron conjunct the Chiron
For some
Kazimi?
reason,
I'd like to hear
I love
Nadia.
you all. Magic to you.
Sorry,
all.
the problem I'm having with my technology is that I can't hear what you guys are saying unless my headset is plugged in, but I have to unplug my headset so you can hear them. So I don't know if there's some overlap. But I heard you say you wanted us to ask Nadia something. What was that?
Okay, so Kepler is asking
Ask-
me something. Hello,
Nadia,
Kepler
tell us-
College.
give
Ask
us-
me anything.
Ask her what?
Give us your take on the Chiron Kazimi, the Chiron conjunction with this eclipse.
What's your take on the Chiron conjunct with the Chiron Kazimi with this eclipse?
Well, I went on for 55 minutes this week on my YouTube channel. 55 minutes just talking about this and talking about Chiron and how powerful this is. And so we know that Chiron is the wounded healer, right? We know that he was shot by an arrow. I'm going to connect it to some myth here. I promise it makes sense. If you watch me, then you know this is going to make sense. But Hercules accidentally shot an arrow into his thigh, and we know that the synopsis is that the gods took pity on him and made him a constellation. Now, just that part of the story I've always understood as Chiron speaking to where we might find immortality in this lifetime. And so it's that thing that we transcend, that we move through and what we do with it, because Chiron was a sacred healer. He was a teacher. We may come to figure out what it is that's going to shine very brightly once we leave our earthly incarnation. But I recently came across another understanding of Chiron, more rooted in the myth of Prometheus. So if you are familiar with one of our living legends, Richard Tarnas, and if you know astrology, you know Richard Tarnas. He is one of our living legends. He's written a book on Uranus, and he believes that the symbolism of Uranus aligns more with the myth of Prometheus. And so we know the myth of Prometheus is that Prometheus loved to hang out with humanity, right? He was a son of Zeus / Jupiter. And he kept going to his dad and saying, Dad, let's give humans fire. And Jupiter was like, no, I don't want them to have fire. I don't want them thinking they're better than us. No way. But Prometheus went and gave human beings fire anyways. fire is a symbol of consciousness, right? And creativity. And it represents a leap in human consciousness that took place when human beings figured out how to make fire. And so Jupiter got really mad. Jupiter took Prometheus and put him on the side of a mountain, and every day an eagle would come, eat his liver. That would be excruciating pain. And then overnight, the liver would grow back, and then an eagle would come once again to eat again his liver.
Ancient Groundhog's Day.
There you go. But a really, really sucky Groundhog Day again and again, right? So what happens then is, what a lot of people don't realize is that it was Chiron who went to Zeus and saw what was happening to Prometheus, his former dear student, and said, look, I'm hurt. This wound isn't healing. Why don't you take my life in exchange for Prometheus? Forgive Prometheus and you can have my mortal existence. And I think that story, and then Zeus agreed, turned Chiron into a constellation. And I think that story says something to us about how freedom and higher consciousness comes on the other side of our healing. And I think that's a big part of what this eclipse is meant to show us today. Because what you need to heal, what is stirring within you, is going to be uniquely your own. And people might judge it, right? They may say your pain is greater. Why would you feel bad about that? Look at what those people are going through, whatever. But the truth is, if it matters to you, it matters. If you feel it, you feel it. But on the other side of that, and this unaspected eclipse is like, you don't have a choice but to just feel it, just sit with it. On the other side of it is you, really you, your freedom, your authentic self, your healed self, the self that knows that you are a constellation, that you shine very, very brightly at night, and that you're still there in the day. And so I think this is a powerful moment, personally.
I love that. Thank you. That was great.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And again, if you saw my YouTube channel, I did this for 55 minutes. That was the synopsis.
Go there and see the long view of it.
And these wonderful people with me.
That's
Thank you
really
so much,
beautiful.
everybody. Lots of love to you. Say goodbye now, officially, for sure.
All right. Bye-bye, folks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, you're going over to Cindy now.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, we have
next-
Cindy online.
Great.
in Buffalo.
we stay connected.
Fantastic.
Buffalo.
All right. Get ready for the next view.
Thank you for
Yes.
sharing this. Lots of love. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Have a
We will
great
see you
eclipse.
later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Welcome, Cindy.
Hello.
How is it there? in
Hi,
Buffalo?
Cindy.
I went as close as possible. I'm going to switch my camera over back to the lake view if you don't mind, because it was just, that's
Sure.
where everything kind of happened. So here we go. Oops, sorry. Okay. So it kind of occurred like over in this spot. Now it's obviously totally moved and we can't see much with the sun. Of course, we saw no stars. You know, there's just a lot of occlusion. However, the darkness. I videotaped it for almost 10 minutes, and luckily my husband got a lot of photos, so it's currently uploading to my share drive, and I'll give that to you. And I have a few friends that are in Buffalo, and they sent their photos too. I uploaded it to you guys. And there's nothing like it. Honestly, I've never been in the path of totality like this. Everybody got very quiet. Everything got very quiet. We were all gripped, is the best way I could describe it. As it was getting closer and closer and happening, people just started, some were screaming, some were crying, some were, you know, very excited. I was super emotional. I was like, you know, oh my God, you know, like I couldn't control myself. Yeah. And, you know, this is a problem. This started a new addiction to where I want to go and start chasing eclipses. But some of the street lamps came on. I'll show you. I was at the Buffalo Harbor. So, you know, there's some lamps around that came on during totality. You know, this used to be, this is kind of, I know, like Buffalo looking, but it was, you know, a steel factory and big factory town. What kind of questions you guys have. What kind of things would you like to know about this
Did you have a lot
experience
of
here?
people? Did you have a lot of people there with you, Cindy? Was it a crowd?
Yes and no. There definitely was people, but it wasn't like everybody had enough elbow room. I mean, there were more people than we could see now in the video. Everybody had enough elbow room. Everybody was very respectful of everybody else. You know, in Buffalo, the way that they did the media was to make sure everybody was pretty spread out. I think really the biggest crowds probably come out in Niagara Falls. So I think Badana and Nadia were able to report on that. So there were a lot of events for solar eclipses here where I was on the harbor. They didn't turn it into an event. They just said, if you want to come, come. And it was very orderly, no chaos, no issues here. So just the most magnificent thing. I mean, everything was just really divine.
Nice.
And Cindy, you're teaching an upcoming class for Kepler College, Astro Mapping for Beginners. Does astrocartography take into account eclipses at all? Like, I know it's more of a transit thing, but how does that figure into astro mapping?
100,000%. It takes into, it's a factor because the eclipse has a birth chart. So when we developed our software, it's called Meteor, and we created a birth chart for the eclipse itself. So what it is that it's really interesting with the way you could see the shadow forming even before the eclipse is engaged out in the sky. We actually have like a sky map like that's you know, out in outer space that shows it. So you could actually put your virtual reality goggles and kind of, you know, immerse yourself in space that way with it. But you create a birth chart for that eclipse. And, you know, as the world is rotating, we're going under the lines. And of course, the planets are going in their orbit too. The moon is moving the fastest, of course, the sun as well. So the other lines are the ones that we're kind of actually moving under, rotating under as the Earth spins. So when the penumbra happened, in other words, that first little, you know, the sun, you know, the first shadow coming, and we saw like the touch of the moon covering the sun. The Jupiter MC line of the eclipse was actually going over the midline of totality in Buffalo. And then during actual totality itself, the Jupiter MC line moved west. And then the Uranus MC line of the eclipse was exactly over here. And of course, the unexpected happened. Nothing like boom, crash, whatever. But, you know, I really thought, you know, people would be a little bit more vocal. But everybody, we were all just gripped. We were transfixed, like awestruck. We were just taking it in. And the darkness was so, it was really beautiful. Like I said, I taped it, but it didn't capture how magnificent this was. It's honestly, people, this is kind of a religious experience. But yeah, with the astrocartography, sorry, I obviously am still taken by it. So the Jupiter midheaven line of the eclipse is moving west now, and I believe the Mars and Saturn, I think it's the descendant lines, are right now, they should be getting closer to Newfoundland, Prince Edward Island, where it will be going. I mean, if you guys want me to hop on at another time where I could actually kind of show you the graphics of how that works, it's beautiful because you really could take the effects of the, you know, the eclipse happening. By the way, one of the reasons I came to Buffalo, New York, I was born here, I was raised here, and I have a Uranus IC line over here. So imagine I had Uranus, I'm activating my Uranus IC with this eclipse in totality, and then it's the Uranus MC line of the eclipse. So, and currently in my chart, Uranus is conjuncting my Mercury. As you know, Mercury was also part of this eclipse. And, it's kind of strange. It's nice and interesting how, all these planets, you activate your lines that way. So you've heard about people moving to, or traveling rather, to their solar return line or their Jupiter return line in order to activate something. That's what you could do with an eclipse, because if it was a clear sky, this would be a little bit more powerful, because then you would, today you saw there was that alignment of Jupiter and Uranus, at least in Buffalo, I believe it was in that 10th house. So it would have been, Uranus was the highest altitude in the sky at that time. That also has an effect. Now, of course, these things don't occur instantly, not always. It's almost like, if you take a pill in order to, say, like an antibiotic in order to clear an infection, it just doesn't happen like that. It happens over time. And that's what you could, you're taking your astrocartography pills. So, the way they start to roll out over time depends on how it's aspecting in your chart, and the sizes of the planets, how far or how close they are to us, the visibility of it, of course. So those are just some of the ways that astrocartography factors in. By the way, you started me on astrocartography. You're going to have to get me to shut up. Otherwise, I won't shut up about it. So
I think it's just fascinating. You're talking about Jupiter and Uranus. And, of course, this is tied to the conjunction coming up April 20th of Jupiter and Uranus. So
holy guacamole,
we're
yes.
really seeing all the planet samba on this eclipse today.
Yeah.
And it's great to hear how it's personally activating your chart, and you're about to bring your Promethean consciousness raising teaching skills about astrocartography to Kepler College. Uranus on the MC and your IC being activated. So very appropriate.
And in my own personal chart, the eclipse was happening in my 9th house. So, yeah, you're right. Jupiter and Uranus were in my 10th house, but the eclipse was happening in my 9th house. So, and that means that Chiron was also happening in the 9th house with that, it was in Kazimi, right? So, it's kind of, you can't make this up in astrology, because I'm joining, I'm going to start teaching with Kepler pretty soon with this astrocartography. And, honestly, part of the reason I came out to Buffalo, besides the totality, besides I was born here, is I'm experimenting with this too. So I'm going to let you guys know how this rolls out over the next year. I've looked at past eclipses that I've attended. None of them were total eclipses, but it's really interesting looking at the astrocartography of it. Like one of them, I was in Cairo, Egypt, and watching it. So at the time of maximum eclipse in Cairo, Egypt, the eclipse's lines went over places that I ended up either living in or having, it had a major effect in my life. Like I think it was this, I'd have to look, I don't remember. I think it might have been the Saturn, whatever line of the eclipse went over Las Vegas. And I moved to Las Vegas within 2 years, and I had never, ever planned to move to Las Vegas. And the odd thing about it is there was like Venus, I think, it was one of the Venus lines. Sorry, I can't remember these things. I don't memorize my chart a lot or what happens, but Venus was a big factor. And I was, I was romantically involved with this man who was working at the American Embassy in Cairo, and I was invited to go there, and he wasn't there, but because of him, I was able to get in there. And they said, can you bring some X-ray film from the hospital? I was, I was a physician, so I was like, yeah, cool, I'll bring this. And so it was almost interesting how like Venus opened a door there for me. The penumbra of the eclipse plays the line of the penumbra that happens, and even like the edge of the beginning of the shadows play a role too. It went directly over Buffalo, New York. And I remember my parents at the time lived in Buffalo, and they were like, why don't you, just out of nowhere, they kind of brought me a ticket there. And then another line, sorry, I'm not memorizing all these lines, went over Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I ended up living there. So I could have never planned this stuff. So yes, I think eclipses definitely play a role with astrocartography. We definitely have to, I'll be putting it together in presentations and just looking at other past eclipses in my life. Another one was when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I saw a partial eclipse. And that year in school, we were being taught about eclipses. And they taught us about Newfoundland. And they were talking about Prince Edward Island. And there were a couple of lines going over there. And oddly enough, I will be heading out there. Not this year, I probably think next summer. So we'll look at the timing of that. And I remember when we were being taught about Newfoundland, I was like, wow, that'd be interesting to go there. Never planned it, right? But it's coming up, and between last eclipse and this eclipse, all these people from the Newfoundland area started popping up in my life. I didn't seek them. They just came in. So there's obviously something to do with that. And that is where my Mercury midheaven line is. So, and in the last eclipse, I was actually on my Mercury midheaven in zenith with, of course, the local space line going there. This is so multidimensional when you're bringing astrocartography in for more depth and prognostications for what you could get in life and powering up your energy. So definitely get into it. It's so beautiful when you look at it. It's more than 3D with astrology, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fascinating, Cindy. And we even have somebody in the chat that says, congratulations. She's looking forward to taking your class.
Thank you. I look forward to having you in class with us.
Awesome.
So I think it'll be happening pretty soon over Tamara's area in PEI. So, you'll be joining 2 direct eclipse people that are teaching you this year.
Charged up. All charged up.
As Mary says, that's going to be, the real effects we're going to feel August through December is when we're really going to be feeling this eclipse.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll be sharing a couple more pictures with you guys if you want to upload it. And thank you for having me on this panel.
Thanks for joining us. It's been
Thank
awesome.
you,
I love to astrocartography. That just blows my mind. It adds so many more layers to the interpretation of the eclipse, not just as a transit to one's chart.
Yeah, and I'll bring in some of the astronomy in as we start to progress through the classes. So I'm going to try to organize. I can't promise anything. I have a lot of plates spinning, but I'm going to try to organize some kind of astronomy with astrocartography, because once you see the astronomy with it just all falls into place. And you guys are it just I don't want to call you guys like converts into it, because I'm not looking to convert anybody, but you can't argue with it after you see it. So
yeah, and Kepler's it's kind of a newly developed certificate within Kepler. I don't know if Lori wants to talk
Tamara
about that.
McGilvray is organizing that, and I'm so happy that she's doing that. She's like one of the best people to do it. Honestly, it's like I love her energy. She really knows how to teach. She really knows how to incorporate remediations, because there's a lot of people that think eclipses are doom and gloom, but look at the battle of the eclipse, and it brought by peace. People dropped their swords, and then negotiated. I think they were fighting for 6 years, and the Medes were trying to take over the land of the Lydians, and they all dropped their swords. They were scared of what happened, and they said, you know what, we gotta stop fighting. And then there was a royal wedding that happened. So it created unification. It created peace. So
that's a beautiful way to end our eclipse, is thinking about peace.
Yes.
I like that. May this one bring peace too. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I will be checking out from here and saying
Thanks,
goodbye
Cindy.
to all of you, but hello for the new class. So endings and beginnings with eclipses. Remember that. Love you all.
Thank you, Cindy.
Bye, Cindy. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Ciao.
Yeah. And I think maybe it's time for us to wrap up. What y'all think?
Sounds
Yeah,
about
for
time.
sure. I think we've blown out the doors on this eclipse party.
We're on the other side, everybody. Woohoo! We made it to the other side of the
Yay!
eclipse.
We're all still here.
And may there be peace, like Cindy's story. I love that. Please, and thank you
healing.
everybody for joining us live from all over the place. Appreciate it. Any last thoughts, Misty?
Not in particular. Happy eclipse, everyone. I am wishing you all the best new beginnings and setting out onto your own unique paths and embracing individual selves.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We really
Thank you.
appreciated you participating in our first eclipse live stream. Hopefully we'll have more coming up.
Maybe not doing a Mercury retrograde next time. We'll see how
Word.
And thank you, Lori Barnes, for being our moral support.
And
Thank
organizing
you
it.
to, yes, thanks to our hosts, Mary, Lori, and Misty. Thank you so much for hosting for us today. We really appreciate it.
It was fun.
Great. And everybody out there, sign up for Kepler College classes. Spring term has begun. If you want to take a deep dive into all the astrology we've talked about, all these wonderful classes are starting now.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.